Friends, what can I say? I was completely taken by the holiday aesthetic Dior presented us this year. Very much Circus inspired, as it is called the Dior Holiday 2025 Spectacular Makeup Collection. And I adore how they committed to the limited edition look where we have gold on gold on gold. And I went a little crazy. I try to practice discernment when choosing these products. I didn't buy the entire collection, although it might look like I have. I wanted to select the items that held most interest for me. And those were, of course, the quads, 2 blushes, the glow maximizer, the highlighter, and I even bought nail polish, which I have on now. I rarely purchase luxury beauty nail polish because I know it is overpriced since I am paying for the brand and whatnot. But Plum Parade spoke to me, and I had to have it. So the way I'll conduct this video is go over each product, reviewing the details, taking a look at the swatches, and then we'll move into the demo where I'll create the looks that has been laid out by Dior. Specifically, they have 2 looks featuring 2 main color stories, the spectacular plum look and the spectacular fiery look, and I couldn't help but purchase both Quints. I know they only have 6 months suggested shelf life, but they made the compacts gold family. They made them gold, and I'm thrilled they went with the gold, because if they just wanted to do bare minimum, they'll make the Dior logo on the compact gold, and as it is, I think it's like, what, a navy or something? I can't remember. But to have the entire compact gold, it's not magnetic, it still has the mechanical clasp. I forgive it, it's fine. But I wanted to quickly go over what's included in this collection, although I didn't buy everything. We have both Quints featuring, again, the plum and fiery colorways. We also have the Rouge Dior Sequin Liquid Duo that I have a short on my channel if you want to take a look at this product. We're going to take a look at it again, of course, in this video. We have the Dior Forever Glow Luminizer Holiday 2025. This beautiful compact that I'll go over the design and whatnot. The Dior Forever Glow Maximizer, again, limited edition. We also have a few limited shades in the Dior Show Styler Eye Pencil. I didn't pick up any shades because I'm not familiar with the formula. I'm sure it's fine, but I rarely wear shades outside the neutral browns, although I do have a few blues with my Victoria Beckham, but that's another conversation. And we have 2 limited edition nail polish shades, one of which I'm wearing now in Plum Parade. It does have shimmer in the formula. It's not a standard cream, but the fact that they managed to develop this plum shade that on a quick glance might look brown, but under light it does look like a true plum. Again, with that shimmer, and I think I have a video where I took it under sunlight, so maybe you could pick up that twinkle. The number is 690, and Plum Parade is also one of the names for the Quint, so you can see they're trying to establish this through line within the collection in achieving these looks with the color story inspiration, as well as the Rouge Dior holiday lipsticks. Again, the compact is gold, and the shade I'm looking at is 629 Velvet Parade. It appears to be a mid-tone rose. It could lean a little too pink, and unfortunately, I didn't have the opportunity to swatch it in person because Dior didn't send any testers to the boutique. So hopefully on my next visit, perhaps Karen will have those available. But if I were to purchase one, it will be that. But I know 010, the crystal sparkle finish, might be on everyone's radar because all the lipstick bullets are embossed with the star motif that's, again, a part of this Circus aesthetic, and it has that iridescent holographic look to the bullet. It looks beautiful on photos. Don't know how practical it will be in real life. That's what's holding me back. And I love pretty things, obviously, demonstrated by the fact that I bought that $195 Chanel lipstick case, but I wanted a shade that I could wear frequently. And again, maybe Crystal Sparkle would be fun to wear on a daily basis, so it has that like pink iridescent effect on the lip as like a bomb moment. Still unsure, but I'll keep you updated on that decision. And one note about the Sequin Lip Duo, it reads here that the product made a return and that it was reimagined as a duo. So I'm not familiar with Dior's previous releases with this liquid matte formula, so let me know down below what year that was, and and it sounds like Dior brought this formula back, but with the serum gloss side for that extra shine finish. But before we get into the holiday collection, I just wanted to mention that Dior also has their super deluxe fancy lipstick. Of course, Louis Vuitton has their premier lipstick, but the only one available in the line at the moment. If you want to experience La Bouteille Louis Vuitton lipstick, you'll have to buy the 160 case with the refill. And Chanel has 31 Le Rouge, their deluxe lipstick case made of glass and aluminum that you don't necessarily have to purchase in order to experience Chanel lipsticks. It's just an option. And Dior has what they call Rouge Premier. It reads here, designed like a piece of jewelry, the Rouge Premier lipstick is refillable. The ceramic and 18 karat gold dip metal case is the work of an unprecedented collaboration between the House of Dior and the French artisanal workshop Bernardieu, which has perpetuated the art of handcrafting Limoges porcelain since 1863. An authentic piece to pass down through the generations, this Dior makeup masterpiece integrates the timeless style signatures of the House of Dior, from the oval shape to the toile de Jouy pattern. I'll get into the toile de Jouy because it's actually a classic French Versailles textile pattern, but what makes it Dior is the light gray scale they put on it with some interesting twists in the pattern itself. But when I saw this lipstick in person and Tashana was explaining how it's $530, the refills are $65, and the base has like a deep star in it to put the refill on, and again in the gray toile de Jouy, which we also see on this gift with purchase that you see the design on as well. And guess what, this tote is made in Italy. The handles are pretty short to hang over my shoulder, but kind of cute to just carry around, and it's fabric, so I could fold it nice and small and keep it maybe in my backpack just in case, you know what I mean? And I wanted to look further into the textile because you have the same pattern here featured in my Dior box. It reads here, Toile de Jouy is a centuries-old French textile first created in the 18th century in the town of Jouy and Josat, near Versailles, and known for its detailed pastoral scenes printed in a single color. It became a hallmark of French decorative art. Christian Dior brought this motif into the world of fashion when he filmed his very first boutique on Avenue Montaigne in the late 1940s. Since then, Dior has reinvented the pattern across collection, and the fashion house refers to it as the Grey Toile de Jouy. What we see today is not just any version, but it's Dior's own signature reinterpretation, marrying the classic motif with the house's emblematic shade of gray. It's a bridge between French heritage and Dior's identity, which I thought pretty cool because I see it all the time, and I think also that was the embossing on these two limited edition quads that released a few months ago that I didn't purchase, but I thought that was pretty cool. But now let's get into this holiday collection. Thank you for coming to my mini history lesson. Let's start with these Quint, shall we? $75 each. Of course, it comes with that delightful 6-month suggested shelf life as typical with Dior makeup. And this compact is made in France, and we are looking at 636 Wild Circus. And you have what they call the canage motif that has like this cage-like pattern embossed on the shadows, sprinkled with that star element here again to speak to the spectacular circus aesthetic. And what got me is this shade right here, this burgundy shade coupled with a copper, what looks to be a mauve, and I could not stay away from this. So I'm gonna put that on standby and have a close look. Untouched and You in 912 Plum Parade. Details are the same, 6-month suggested shelf life, made in France, but I like how they stuck to a cooler purple color story, because the warmest you have is this deep plum, but you have the cooler looking orchid here with the light icy lavender, and this middle shade is like a true royal purple paired with the what looks to be maybe more of like an iridescent shade with that lavender flip. But again, I couldn't stay away from this embossing, and aesthetically it just spoke to me. And now moving on to the blushes that I actually didn't test when they re-released in this newer formula a few months ago, right? So we've seen the backstage blushes before in like the more rectangular squoval shape, but Dior reformulated the powder and also introduced the rosy glow blush stick, I think it's called. We have 3 limited edition shades for the holiday 2025 collection: 810 Starry Pink, but I chose 830 Fiery Red, which again, Fiery Circus theme, and 850 Starry Mauve. I was intrigued by Fiery Red because I thought it was a little more muted than Backstage's Cherry Red. And I'll bring this with me so that when I happen to visit a Sephora, I'll pick up that cherry swatch and we'll swatch this one here so you can see a comparison. I took a chance with this shade because it looks pretty cool in terms of the undertone, but I thought it paired beautifully with Plum Parade. And we have 12 months with the blush. Thank goodness. Also made in France, and although not as pizzazzed out as the Quint compacts, the Dior design on the compact is gold, and you have the translucent overlay that reflects the shade that's in the palette. And now the Dior Forever Glow Luminizer Holiday 2025 limited edition highlighter compact retails for $60, and you see that the same star canage motif that's on the compact here is like this faux soft material with the Christian Dior across the lid, and you have the same design embossed on the powder. Appears to be baked, and again, 6 months. 001 Dior Star, again limited edition, but this is made in Italy. A few fun facts about the canage motif is a classic Dior signature, a geometric crisscross or lattice style quilting that recalls the pattern of cane wovenness, as in the woven cane of chairs. The pattern is believed to be inspired by the Napoleon III chairs that Christian Dior used in his salons, which had cane seats and or backs, and Dior translated that architectural geometric cane structure into its couture leather goods. But the addition with the stars and the choice of gold, I think, is to weave in that spectacular circus element to the aesthetic, and I absolutely love it. And it's hard to see, but this highlighter, look at, oh my gosh, there's a lot of different color pearl in here. I don't want to touch it. Oh, I'm going to be in trouble. But are you ready for this one? I don't think you are. But now we have the Dior Forever Glow Maximizer limited edition. Once again, $51 in, are you ready? Abracadior. Also 6 months, made in France with the gold cap, and it's hard to see, but there is a pink iridescent flip in this glow maximizer. We'll get into the swatch for sure, but I already tested it in store and it is intense, so we'll figure out how to zhuzh it up so it doesn't look crazy on the cheeks. But what I think will be one of the standout products for this collection is the Rouge Dior Sequin Liquid Duo that I've already tried. This is in 520 Illusionist, retails for $55, and it is made in Italy. One side is the liquid matte side, the other is the serum gloss one. But what's special about this liquid matte is that it contains a shimmer that doesn't feel gritty on the lip, and it's more than just a sparkle. It has like that high reflective finish. You'll see it. Hopefully I can capture that effect on camera with the lighting that I have. But the liquid matte is lightweight. The doe foot applicator is just cleverly designed because there's a groove in there where it has enough product that you could just use for one serving and cover your entire lip without dipping in and out. But now that we went over all the details for the collection, it's time for you to come in a little closer for these swatches and the demos. Right now I have the Givenchy foundation on, as well as the Burberry concealer. I'm tossing back and forth between concealers because I have like 3. And I also have the nude filter on from Dior, but you can see it also sports that same canage motif on this compact. Not as involved as what's seen here for Holiday Spectacular, but they're both nice. I like them both. I would love to see Fiery Circus if you don't mind. Oh, I don't messed it up. Here's one look up close at this exquisitely embossed Quint. Oh my goodness. Listen, I know Dior has just wretched suggested shelf lives, okay? But the way they do their embossings is out of control. It's out of control. I gotta see this mauve shade. Ooh, it feels satiny, sheeny. Oh, that's pretty. It actually looks a little more rosy than how it appears in pan. Next, going in with the copper. That also has a similar feel. Oh, that is vibrant. That's like a straight up tangerine. Holy moly. I'm getting excited. You see how I'm deliberately leaving the burgundy for last? Yes, I'm glad you noticed too. This feels a little more powdery, but not too bad. That's like your typically formulated champagne ivory that's going to serve as our inner corner highlight. It doesn't appear to have the same level of shine as these two, but nonetheless, we'll use it. It'll be fine. The middle gold shade, again, feels similar, and there's definitely a lot more shine there, and I expected that for sure. Lovely gold all over the lid. Happy that it's not super yellow, so it's more like I guess a neutral yellow gold, if you will. But here it is, what I've been waiting to see in action. Oh, is this going to be more red or is it going to be more burgundy? Not bad. I would have liked it to be a little more muted burgundy. It definitely has more of like that, as the name implies, fiery red element to the color compared to how it looks in pan. Totally fine. We'll see how it looks on the lids, but I can see how that definitely would pair well with the Backstage blush. Are you ready? And now off to Plum Parade. First with this light lavender shade. Ooh, this has pretty, oh, okay. That almost looks like a duochrome. I think because of the shadows having like that shimmer motif running across all of them. But that's pretty. That has like an ethereal feel to it. Now with that light iridescent lavender, let's see. This has a little more, definitely more icier than what's found in Fiery Circus. Now off to that medium orchid shade. I like the feel of these shadows. They have that satin element to them with that sheen left behind. And that's nice. Middle royal blue shade. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm ruining the Dior embossing. This definitely is the deepest, I think. Oh, that's pretty. That definitely is more of like your cool royal purple. That's going to add nice smoke definitely to the outer corner. But now we have the more plum leaning purple. Ooh, that might be cooler than I anticipated. Yes. Okay. Okay, this is, listen, if you're a purple lover, there's no berry influence, no like plum wine influence in this color story. It is straight up cool undertone. So if that tickles your fancy, well, just put it on the wish list. We don't have to rush into anything, okay? We don't have to make rash decisions. Now let's get into these Backstage blushes. Specifically the Dior Backstage Rosy Glow. Let's first swatch 830 Fiery Red. The powder feels pretty creamy. It doesn't feel like the Burberry blush. It feels like it might have an interesting grip on the skin. So that's why I have a Chikuhodo brush on standby, right? Because we'll see how that moves, but that's red. Up next, we have 850 Starry Mauve, and that looks to have a sheen to it as well. There's some shimmer in Fiery Red, but oh, that might have more of like a lilac look to it. It reminds me of YSL's Babydoll. So we'll see how this looks on someone like with my skin tone and of a neutral undertone. I know we gotta do this highlighter. Oh, I'll switch arms. I know. It's okay. It's okay. Oh, that's smooth. My goodness. Holy moly. The shine, the lightweight and shine on this is crazy. And look, it's more like translucent. I gotta put the flashlight on. The sparkly arcly. Okay, there we go. Do you see the sparkly arcly happening? On top of Abracadior, the Glow Maximizer. Now, let's take a look at this finish here. Here we go, right next to. So it has that white base, but you see that pink flip. You definitely have to tap to evenly distribute that finish. But boy, oh boy. But maybe you can better see the pink flip and the sparkle twinkle effect on that formula, or in that formula, I should say. Oh, we're gonna have a lot of fun. And lastly, let's take a look at 520 Illusionist. We'll swatch the liquid lip side, but here's a look at the doe foot. You see on this side how there's so much product there. It has a teardrop look to the design and just makes it seamless in applying. But this rosy taupe, will just go beautifully with Plum Parade. I would even think Bold Black from the Dior Attic line will look just ravishing with Plum Parade as well. But this, and maybe I could use my flashlight to pick up that twinkle I was trying to describe. It's like that reflective finish that you see on like traffic signs, but you'll see that twinkle on my YouTube short where under sunlight, it definitely picks up that effect. It's like, ooh, the best. I'm dying to apply the blush first, and let's do each look separately. So we'll establish the fiery look, then we'll go into the plum look. We'll have Abracadior and the highlighter on for both looks. So again, as I had mentioned, using my Bobo and Chikuhodo CH01. Although this is a Psycho goat hair and squirrel hair mix, there's really nice push from the brush, which I think is going to move this powder quite well on the skin, just from what I detected with that swatch in the texture. Picking up just enough, and I'm tapping to evenly distribute the powder on the bristles so we don't have that patchy first lay down. And then we'll just, ooh-wee, take that around, start high, and follow through with a nice go around here. Oh, that's pretty. Not too bad. And I like the prep we did, like, you know, you're doing this with me, because if you feel the powder is quite tight, I think tapping on back of hand just to prepare the texture a little bit will ensure a smoother application going forward on the cheeks. And maybe starting mid-high cheek so the gradient drops more organically, right? It doesn't look so splotchy center of face. And we're doing the same thing on the other side, tapping again to distribute the powder evenly to the brush, and then tapping first to lay down that color and taking it around for a ride to diffuse it further. Oh, that's pretty. I could see how it could get out of control real fast, right? So make sure you choose the proper tool. Maybe not start off with a ton of color initially, so you have more control over the application and the color intensity on the cheeks. So trying to pull it from memory, I think Cherry is a lot brighter and more vibrant than Fiery Red. Fiery Red is a little more like brick red, in my opinion. And I know a tough color to wear effortlessly. I'm thinking, for example, Russet Leaves from Burberry. That's a little more toned down. That's a little more of a wine red. And I'll be happy to make those comparisons later in the video for sure, in addition to swatching YSL's Chili Red. But I like this. And the texture is nice. I haven't tried the new Backstage formulation, so nice to actually get acquainted with it now. But I would prepare the powder as you saw me do here. I wouldn't go in straight from powder to skin, although you can. I believe tapping off excess will help the powder lay down more even and will avoid it looking splotchy or like that skid mark look on the skin, and also will lessen the risk of you moving your foundation underneath. But I would like to apply a little bit of Dior Addict 730 Star, which I think is gonna look insane with Fiery Circus. It already looks fantastic with Fiery Red. We're doing good. What shall we start with first? Well, judging from the textures, right, I immediately thought all over eye, one and done, using Sonia G's T8, first picking up this mauve rosy gold. I like the soft color in that it's great across the lid. You have that nice sheen effect on the lid, and the brush easily picked up enough product. Not the deepest shading, but I could recognize how if I added like a liner, dipped into Natasha Denona's dramatic tone and texture and tone, I could add a little more intensity here across the lash line, because that is a critique about Fiery Circus. It's more color inspired heavy and not, I think, developed to provide smoke. There's no deep shade. You just have the colors themselves to deliver the specific inspiration, which is fine. It's fine. But I want to experiment with this copper and see what it's doing. Maybe first placing it on the inner corner. This tangerine copper is definitely the star of the show for Fiery Circus. Am I saying this correctly? Yes. This is the star eyeshadow right here. I mean, look how bright that is. Insane. What we can do is bracket the tangerine side or the soft rose mauve side with the red and see how that translates. So let's further commit by placing that tangerine more across the lid. So covering it 3/4, picking up our red, still with our T8, and stamping that color on the outer V. That's going to have a softer serving, and I'll pick up my shader again, specifically T8, so I can have a heavier lay down of color. But as I suspected from the swatch, it's not going to necessarily bring depth to the look. It's going to bring, again, more of like that colorful, vibrant, fiery aesthetic to the eye look. So if you want more depth, you probably have to prep your lids with like a Victoria Beckham liner, or just dip out entirely and use a deeper eyeshadow. But I do like the red haze the shadow produces, for sure. I don't know if you would consider this to be daily friendly, but it's definitely a look for sure. Bringing that color on the lower lash line here, just softly whipping the edges. Okay, let's see what we can get applying the red now on the outer corner for our mauve side, because that's going to have a different representation, right? So that cocktail will appear more muted and soft. It's not going to have that same vibrancy or even tang, if you will, like you see from this side. And using T8 again, because I definitely want to create a similar haze effect on this side. So that's nice. I like that. Applying more of the mauve here because I want that to take over the entire lid. That's not too bad. I like. Following up also in the same manner on the lower lash line. Now we got options. Yeah, we can definitely go in with that ivory champagne on the inner corner, which I think will do for the first eye. Now, unfortunately, this shadow is the least performing in my opinion. It's the most powdery. Make sure you don't pick up so much. It doesn't have that same reflective effect. It's more of like a soft sheen satin effect on the inner corner. If you want something more pizzazzed out, you'll have to dip out for sure. Let's see what the gold is doing. The gold definitely has a little more shine and not as powdery as that upper left-hand corner shade. And I think goes well with our fiery Circus side. But before we go, we gotta take a look at Dior Star. Not too bad. It's on the drier side. If you want more of a potent wet effect to happen on the cheekbone, I would apply setting spray or maybe prep the cheekbone area with a balm. But that's not a bad look, even applied on a drier surface. But with the Forever Glow, I would prep it back of hand first, because you do risk it applying splotchy if you apply it straight on the cheekbone. And I'll go in BK Beauty and Nikki LaRose's SN20 and tap. I think we'll be able to exercise a little more control over that application so it doesn't appear splotchy and uneven on the skin. But if you want to see just in case, so I'll tap that and I'll use my finger. Here's the thing though, a little goes a long way. And do you see that pink iridescent effect? That's not too bad. I was talking crap without even trying first. Okay, I just want you to know, you will definitely see a more aggressive serving of pink sparkle. Some will interpret it as glitter, and you can, rightfully so. There are larger particles here. I don't know if you can tell on camera. It's not going to be the most effortless glow maximizer that you could own if you decide to purchase this product, because the original glow maximizers that come in like the nude and the gold, those are more of like a straightforward shimmer formula that's a lot easier to deal with, and it's not going to leave behind that glittery look on the skin. But you will see the pink sparkles in there and that iridescent finish on the cheekbone. I just want to let you know, because this is not going to be for everyone. This is a limited edition product, so I think Dior wanted to formulate something a little different than what's found in their standard glow maximizer line. If you prefer those finer shimmery creams, then stick to the ones you have, or buy the ones that you think are going to work better on your skin. It's pretty though. It's something different. I don't think I will wear this every day. I was just a sucker for the packaging. This was not a must for sure. There's something about how it looks in the bottle with the white cap. It is definitely screaming holiday. So, but what happens if now we apply Dior Star on top of the glow maximizer? Oh my goodness. This is out of control. Yep. we're getting glowy-owy, so let's apply these lashes and I'll be right back. So here are close-ups of Fiery Circus, the look inspired by Dior's Holiday 2025 collection, and I quite love what we have. The Quint is great, it's solid. I do think the formula from years ago, like the Quints that I have in my collection, Jungle and, oh, I forgot the name, like Cashmere or something, New Look, that formula is better. It's hardier. There are more textures in the palette where you have mattes and you have satins and you have metallics and everything in between. It's just a more comprehensive experience for a shadow lover like myself, and especially one who likes to create various levels of depth and various levels of intensity on the lids. Whereas this formula is more kind of streamlined where it's all mostly satin. And that could be a good thing because the satin formula in general is more forgiving on lid texture. It has a sheen to it, so it can deflect any texture. It doesn't grab. It's soft on the application. And again, if you rather have that satin finish on the lids and just focus on one and done looks, you certainly can, especially with these shades. I love the mauve shade. I know it didn't seem like much, especially when we applied it all over the lid, but it's a nice color to have if I'm feeling quite simple that day. And again, I could follow up with my Prada liner in Wood or even Victoria Beckham Beauty in Cocoa. Any of those choices will do. The red is nice. Again, I was hoping for something a little more burgundy muted, and it's fine because I have Natasha Denona's Retro, right? I have a bunch of different burgundies in my collection. I have them in Bibliophilia. This is kind of giving Bibliophilia vibes, right? And if you have that palette already, you don't necessarily need Fiery Circus. You can definitely create a Fiery Circus look from Bibliophilia by Rito, for sure. But I understand that's an 18 pan palette. It's quite large, and from a more practical standpoint, the smaller palette size you see here and the fact that it's gold, I know it's the gold that's probably maybe seducing you a bit. It definitely is tempting in that regard. I completely understand because here I am brow deep in the holiday collection from Dior. And the blush, not too bad. I think I have to wear this blush more often. A shade that I might not gravitate towards often, but I think I'm going to play a little more with wearing this type of color without shadow, but maybe just a brow and a bolder lip with Star. And I fully understand that the Sequin Lip Duo, specifically 747 Flame, that I swatched when I visited the boutique, could be a moment. It would be, I think, beautiful with this look. But I understand if it's a red that you might not wear as often, it's a little more commitment heavy because it is a liquid matte formula. If you want something more easygoing, I would probably buy Dior Addict 730 Star because of just ease of use. The bandwidth is lower for the application, the experience in general. You have that bold lick moment without the hassle. Not that the duo is a hassle. You just gotta spend a little more time. You gotta make sure you paint within the lines. And if you want more shine and more of a cushiony feel, you go in with the serum gloss side. And if you're not a particular fan of liquid mattes and you're more into the hybrid shiny lipstick formulas, then 730 Star is your pick. Now that we've seen Fiery Circus in action, it's time to take this off and get into the plums. Be right back. Fresh face ready for Plum Parade. But I also wanted to kick off the look by applying the Sequin Liquid Duo in 520 Illusionist, this beautiful rose taupe. The texture just has a beautiful moussey cream to it. It's a pleasure to apply, and yes, it's quite creamy and will set to a matte finish eventually, so we'll wait on that for a bit and follow up with the glossy side just to see a little more shine. But I'm dying to see the blush because from the swatch I was like, ooh, I don't know. Let's grab our Bobo Chikuhodo brush again. I'm gently wiping on the towel to release excess product from Fiery Red. Starry Mauve. Now, I don't think I have to be as careful with this shade. I could be a little more liberal with it, meaning I can go straight from pan to skin, but just out of habit, I want to prep it a little bit. That's not too bad. We can go with a little more product because this is a lighter shade and has more of a sheen finish to the formula. Although there's pearl in Fiery Red, it doesn't look as satiny on the skin as Starry Mauve does. And I can compare this to the YSL blush I have. It's like a similar looking shade, I think nude something, I forgot, but that's not too bad. Again, a shade that I wouldn't wear often. I was just enchanted by the Plum look, and I thought maybe I could get away with this, although I'm thinking I could follow up with Babydoll. Hold on, let me get Babydoll. I've been your baby doll. Just, you know, on the lower part, see what it does with this color? Oh, that's fun. That's a nice combination. If you happen to have Babydoll and also bought Starry Mauve, what a great setup for Abracadior. Abracadior is gonna look crazy with Starry Mauve. Okay, this is already getting out of hand. Tapping higher here, and I think it best to go with a finger actually. You can experiment with a brush. Just a light tap evenly distributes the product in a way that it looks scattered, right? And depending on how much pressure you apply, you can control on how the product lays and spreads on the skin. But my goodness, this is intense. You see, you don't need much. You just need a dot. That's it. No more than that, or else you're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna have sparkly, arcly cheekbones, but laying down the YSL color first was a nice setup, almost like it brought forward a more lilac influence to the entire look. That's not bad. You know, I'm committing to that winter princess look, okay? I agree with certain color stories and fully committing to the inspiration. Sometimes you have to wear colors that might not be in your everyday wheelhouse choice. And Starry Mauve is something that I don't wear every day or probably won't, but I get how it could go well with Plum Parade. 100%. Speaking of, let's now head into this palette story, and I definitely got to go in with the Icier Lilac that I think is going to have just a beautiful look on the inner part of the eye. Yes, as suspected, it has more of like that icier lilac finish on the skin, almost has like an iridescent quality about it. And with the medium lilac, or I guess I would describe this more as an orchid, I'm going to place that more on the center, and you can definitely see more of that orchid shade coming forward. My goodness, like I had said, purple lovers beware. I actually predict Plum Parade is going to do better than Fiery Circus because there are a lot of plum lovers out there who would like a more cool tone palette overall, not one that has like any red influence in there. And already you can see what's happening. Bracketing, I think, you know what? I'll actually use this shade to bracket our first eye because the middle shade, well, let me see here. No. I'll use this shade. This is the middle shade. The shade on the lower right hand corner, I'll probably use for the medium lilac. Okay, stage is set. So picking up that violet, I would definitely call it more of like a true cool violet. Tapping that on the outer portion of the lid. And again, this formula is almost like a satin. It's not completely matte. And once we tap that on, we can follow up with a swirl and twirl. Where's my swirl and twirl brush though? Using Sonia G's Tradition S3 is a soft white Canadian squirrel blend, because I don't want this to get carried away. You can see how color heavy it is. I don't want it to look messy on the outer portion of the blend. Not bad. Ooh, that's purple. That violet here on the lower outer corner. And as promised, now going in with this shade. And I'm taking a chance here. I'm going in with the T8, which is quite large, even for my eye size, to place a darker color on the outer V. But here we are. I just wanted to challenge the shadow's capacity to blend well and take advantage of the fact that it's not a matte, where don't know if I'll have this room to apply in a way if it was like a powder matte. You know what I'm saying? Oh, well, that was nice. that applied quite evenly. I gotta say though, the T8 is goated. Like, look how it just, this is a fantastic brush, my goodness. I'll actually follow up on our second eye in the same way to replicate the blend that I have on that second eye. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Ooh, I'm holding it Nikki LaRose style. It's happening. It's happening. Getting a little lower here. Oh, we're getting crazy. We're getting a little crazy with the purple on this side, but it's fine. Everything's gonna be fine. Okay, now the accent shades. We already used that Icier Lilac on the first shade, which means I can now apply it as an inner corner highlight on our second eye. Placing that here. Yes, nice highlight effect already. Also, let's follow up with that darker violet on the outer lower lash line. Actually, I'll just cut all the way across, pulling in a little bit of that Icier Lilac shade. Ooh, this is gonna be my favorite. This color is my favorite. That's a nice, I don't know, it's just, it's purple, but it still looks smoky. It kind of maintains the color integrity. Oh, that's great. Okay. Now let's see if this performs better than the Fiery Circus shade. Still powdery, but it just needs time to kind of melt into the skin, because initially it does look a little bit gritty in terms of the texture, but you're just gonna have to let it settle, not pick up as much to avoid fallout. And if you get fallout like I did here, which is fine, I just like to use my brush to clean up underneath and just kind of pull away the excess. I could though follow up with that same lilac shade, but in fact I'll place the medium lilac or orchid, lilac orchid, on the lower inner part of my lash line, as I want to place color here. Yes. Okay. And the lip, and do you see the sparkle? Let's follow up with the gloss side, shall we? To get a little more shine across the lip. And you know what? I would like to apply a little bit more of Starry Mauve on the center of the face, because I think the Winter Princess look calls for a stronger color placement on the cheeks versus Fiery Red and Fiery Circus in general is a little more glam, and I think better placed higher on the cheeks for that more sculpted effect. Okay, we're done. Let's apply these lashes and I'll be right back. Close-up shots of Plum Parade, and I have to say the look is growing on me. I typically don't gravitate towards purples, but I immediately recognize how well this palette would do because it stayed cool. There were no warm purples, warm berries in the color story, and I think that's more appealing to purple lovers in general. Now, although there are no specialized sparkly finishes in Plum Parade or Fiery Circus, I still do appreciate the soft sheen effect on the eyes. You have that shine on the lids. It's not flat, it's not a matte, and maybe that's more appealing to you. But I do enjoy the colors themselves, the undertones of these purples, the fact that we have true violets and orchids and lilacs in this palette. Even the icier blue shade, although a little powdery, just has a lovely iridescent effect on the inner corner. And although I didn't do this with the Fiery Circus color, I could have probably tapped that on the center of any shadow in the Quint to create a little more dimension if you wanted to bring a little more light on center of lid. But Starry Mauve is growing on me. Again, not a shade, a blush shade I would wear often. But because we have Illusionist on, it brings everything together beautifully. The Rosy Taupe. If there was like one, you gotta get the Rosy Taupe. The Rosy Taupe is lovely with the plum look, and especially if you saw in the close-up, the sparkle factor is just outrageous. And something that I also describe with the Chanel duos that are formulated similarly, that when you put the gloss on, the shine is there initially. It does kind of die down to maybe more of like a satin shine, which is still great, but you don't lose that color integrity and the staying power remains without feeling grit. There is no grit whatsoever in this duo, even though you see the sparkle, and it's like a pink sparkle in the formula that mimics that pink sparkle in Abracadior, and I could definitely embrace this. But I like that Plum Parade has more depth than what's in Fiery Circus, because you can just go in with this darker shade, like the darker violet versus the medium violet, all over the lid, and that's going to be your smoky eye. Whereas in Fiery Circus, you just have that red lid, which is not so much smoke, it's just like a color statement. That's the main difference, and why, in addition to the purples just being the right undertone for purple lovers, I think Plum Parade is a little more versatile in that respect. In that Fiery Circus is definitely more of a statement quint in my opinion, although you could argue the same thing with these shades. You just have more various levels of depth available in Plum Parade, where you could create that medium smoke and then you have high level smoke, or maybe you just have more of an icier finish on the lid and on the inner corner. Maybe you just tap on the icy blue and then shade the lash line with the deeper violet, or even go in with the medium violet, which is a lot of fun because now you'll have a smoky lash line that's not your typical black or black brown, but there's a little color there, but it will still provide that diffuse smoke on the lash line for more intensity versus you just having that fiery red and tangerine at your disposal that's going to have a color moment on the eyes, but it's not going to produce the same amount of depth that you can with these shades. So if I were to pick the one you should get, I would go with Plum Parade, just from a practical standpoint. Fiery Circus is beautiful. There's no denying that, but I know if you're on a budget, but you love the gold compact and you're just looking to purchase one, unless purples are not your thing whatsoever, then of course you'll buy neither and you'll move on to the next thing. But especially if you already have bibliophilia and you want a quint, I would go with Plum Parade. And between the blushes, I mean, you could try combining the fiery red blush with the Plum Parade Quint, although Starry Mauve makes for a seamless pairing, as you can tell. But I wanted to apply Bold Black from the Miss Dior collection to see how it looks with this combination. We gotta use the Bioderma for sure with this Sequin Lip Duo. Here we go, $7.90 with Bold Black. Oh, I think I like this better. You know why this works so well? Well, besides Bold Black just being gorgeous. Many people had compared this to Clinique's Black Cherry, which is definitely more, as the name implies, more of a cherry based undertone, and this is a true blackberry that I think pairs beautifully well with the more cool undertone found in the violet in Plum Parade. Even though it's called Plum Parade, it really should be called Flying Violet, something like that, to stick with the circus theme and aesthetic of it all. Oh, but this is nice. This really just, it gave it an extra sultry element for sure, because our Illusionist color is gorgeous. I think definitely if you wanted to leave out the darker violets and just stick to the lilac and pair it with Illusionist, that would be a great combination. Or go in with Bold Black and maybe shade the lash line with the darker violets. But if you felt like you needed to get Illusionist because you wanted to buy Plum Parade, but you already have Bold Black, you probably will be okay with just Bold Black, because this is a great pairing with Plum Parade. I just can't get over it. Ooh, we're doing good. And of course, when you already have Abracadior on the cheekbones, you could follow up with more Dior Star right on top. But again, it is a drier powder, so if you want to ensure better adherence and just a glassier finish to the skin, I will pounce this on a balm layer if you choose to go that route. But as promised, I have a few comparisons to show, and we'll start off with Fiery Red from the Dior Backstage line. Let's set it up high on the wrist here. Again, it's more of like a brick red compared to YSL's Chili Crush. That is definitely more vibrant, and you can just see from the swatch itself how Fiery Red is a little easier to wear and apply than YSL. There's definitely more of like a lighter delivery of color. This blush, I mean, you saw it in action not only on my, well, I have 3 videos looking at the one where I forgot my brushes, so I had to use a small Suku brush to apply this powder, and then also looking at my favorite red tone blushes. Up next, of course, we have to see Burberry's Russet Leaves, and I'm gonna make sure I choose another finger so we don't cross color contaminate. Russet Leaves has to be my favorite out of the 3. You see, this is like a beautiful, I said wine red, is almost like a true burgundy red, which is why I think it is crucial for autumn. But allow me to swatch Fiery Red again just to get a stronger showing of the color. So there you go. This is basically, you see the main difference between the undertones. And of course, I also have to show Dior's Soft Filter Blush in Oud. This color is just unmatched, a lot richer than what you see in Fiery Red. It is that quintessential deep rouge shade. And why not? Looking at Urban Decay's Face Bond in Situationship, this is more of like a heartier red. Actually, I would say there's a little bit of oud in that it has that muted grunginess about it. It's more of like a burgundy versus than what you see in Fiery Red. And now with Starry Mauve, definitely going to compare it to the YSL shade in number 44. Nude something, rose something, if I recall. Ooh, somebody needs to wipe. The YSL definitely has more pink, for sure. And Starry Mauve, I think, is more of a balanced mixture of pink and mauve, and you can see that effect on the skin here. And I actually wanted to compare the Holiday Forever Glow to the Glow Luminizer in the Silver Canage packaging, and this is in the shade Nude Halo. This, I feel, has a creamier texture. You can see that it's more of a shimmer powder, and when you lay it on the skin, it has a more dominant shimmer effect there versus from what you see in the Holiday Compact. It's giving more overlay, and I think you could even detect that from how the pan looks compared to how the powder looks in the Luminizer Compact. So you see there's a little more twinkle in the Holiday, and the color base isn't as heavy. It's definitely more of like a topper highlight, in my opinion. If you want more of like a shimmer highlight with a heavier undercurrent of color, then you'll like the Dior Forever Glow Luminizer more. I just have to make sure I got these names correctly. They're both Glow Luminizers. They're both named the same, but they're not the same, in my opinion, feel. There's more of like a powdery feeling experience in the Glow Luminizer versus the Holiday feels a little more like baked. And between the Chanel and the Dior, you definitely get more product from the Dior. Is a larger component. I would say the main difference is in terms of construction, the doe foot. The Chanel doe foot is your standard doe foot construction, whereas the Dior, I think, is better because it's larger and there's more flexibility, where the Chanel, because it's stiffer, you might actually take off product as you're applying it, which is what I felt in applying this color. I had to not apply as much pressure, whereas the Dior doe foot, again, it has that groove, so it just places that product evenly across the lip without you having to dip back in, where I feel like I have to dip back in into the Chanel. But the gloss side brush in the Chanel is a little softer and more flexible than the brush in the Dior. Actually, the Dior brush is a little larger, but there's a little more pushback with that application, although it's not going to take away the liquid matte once it sets on the lip. You'll be fine in that department. And the Chanel also doesn't have sparkle in the formula. It is a straight up liquid matte where you have shimmer in the Dior. So it really all depends if you prefer Chanel's color offering from their duos versus Dior. But if you like sparkle in your liquid matte, that sequin effect, if you will, definitely go with the Dior. It's hard for me to peel like the exact differences because they both feel like a liquid matte on my lips when they set completely. And they're both lightweight and moussey. Yeah, the Chanel formula is fantastic. It's goated. It's been known for years and definitely one of their more heavily sought after products out of the entire beauty line, right? The duos are iconic and well known across many luxury beauty enthusiasts. So I do think it comes down to which colors you prefer more. Maybe it does come down to the doe foot that, yes, you love the Chanel formula, but you can't stand the doe foot that they use. So those are the differences, the standout ones that I recognize, and hopefully that will help you arrive at a decision. There you have it, Dior's Holiday Spectacular Magic Collection for 2025. Although I don't have each and every piece from this collection, I quite enjoyed what I picked up, and definitely one of the more exciting holiday releases that I've seen because Dior nailed it with the packaging. Yes, make everything gold. Commit to the holiday limited edition aesthetic so that when you go into your collection and you see the compact right away, you immediately remember this time for holiday 2025, how hard Dior went with the color stories, with the inspiration, with everything behind it. I mean, come on. And yes, I didn't talk about the polish much because you saw it in action for the entire video, but if you are me and you have a bunch of Mooncat, Cirque colors, Hollow Taco, I'm sure I have this color in my collection. I would say if you have Mooncat's Kafkaesque, which I've worn several times, that's like a deep neutral black brown. I know, not quite the same as the Plum. The Plum is special. I get it entirely. You might already have this color already, but I think it is unique where the Plum is not reddish plum, but a true kind of like plum brown. It's interesting. And I've just been wearing the heck out of these vampy colors for the season. It's been hard for me to wear anything else actually. It's either Kafkaesque or some other color within this goth realm of shades, right? And I've just been gravitating towards. So I just wanted to mention that. Don't have to spend $32 something. How much is it? $35 for a nail polish. But if you do, it does come with the gold cap. Family, if you made it this far, make sure you like this video by clicking that thumbs up. It helps me tremendously in letting the YouTube algorithm know that I'm worth watching and will now continue to watch. It would also recommend my video to other Dior beauty enthusiasts such as yourself. And make sure you consider subscribing by hitting that notification bell, because if you want to see more videos, you'll be alerted of those uploads immediately, especially if you like what you saw today. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for the time. I truly appreciate the watch. But if you are new, well, please stay peruse more. Maybe I'll see you in this video here. I'll definitely see you down in the comments for this one, and not here again next time.